All right, let's talk about men's health. Think of this as your roadmap, a clear guide for your entire life. We're going to cut through all the noise and give you a simple stage-by-stage playbook to not just live longer, but to live way, way stronger. And let's get right to it. It all boils down to this one single number: 5. That's right. On average, men live over 5 years less than women. And look, this isn't just some boring statistic on a page. It's a real-world gap that we can, and we should, change. It affects everyone: fathers, sons, brothers, all of us. So that leads to the big question, right? Why? Why does this health gap even exist? And maybe more importantly, what can you actually do about it? How can you close that gap for good? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. This is your playbook. Okay, part 1, building your foundation. We're talking about those critical years, from your teens up to your mid-30s. This is where you lay the groundwork. The habits you build now, they're going to define your health for the rest of your life. And you know what? This foundation, it doesn't start with lifting weights. It starts between your ears. For way too long, guys have been fed this idea that being strong means being silent and just toughing it out. It is time to flip that script completely. Because here's the truth: silence isn't strength. Real power, that's having the guts to ask for help when you need it. And if you need proof of why this matters so much, look at this. The reality is absolutely staggering. Men die by suicide almost 4 times more often than women. 4 times. This isn't some minor issue, it's a full-blown crisis. It just goes to show you the cost of that silence is devastating. And look, the mental game changes as you go through life, right? When you're a teenager, it's all about figuring out who you are. Then you hit adulthood, and boom, it's work stress, economic pressure, taking care of a family. And later on, in the senior years, loneliness can really creep in. Just knowing that this is the typical journey, that's the first step to actually handling it. Okay, so we've talked about mental health. Now let's switch gears to physical health, because you need both to be strong. For guys in that 15 to 35 age range, we have to talk about testicular cancer. Now, that sounds scary, I know, but here's the most important part. It's also one of the most curable cancers, if you catch it early. That's why monthly checks are, honestly, non-negotiable. And it's so simple. Seriously, it's like a 1-minute thing you do once a month. The best time is after a warm shower when everything's relaxed. You just gently check one at a time, feeling for anything that seems new or different. Any lumps, swelling, you get the idea. It sounds so basic, but this tiny habit can literally save your life. No exaggeration. All right, on to part 2, navigating midlife pressures. So you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s. This is when all those habits you built earlier, the good and the bad, really start to pay off or come back to bite you. Just look at this number for a second. 250,000. That's how many deaths are tied to heart disease every single year in a country like Pakistan. It is without a doubt the #1 killer. And the scariest part? It's a silent threat that can build up for decades without you even knowing. So what's the game plan? How do you protect your heart? It really boils down to 4 simple, powerful things. First, know your numbers. We're talking blood pressure and cholesterol. Second, just don't smoke. Third, stay active. And listen, this doesn't mean you have to become some crazy marathon runner. It's just about moving your body consistently. That's it. Okay, another big one for midlife: hormones. Yeah, we're talking about testosterone. It's totally natural for it to drop a little bit, about 1% a year after you turn 40. You can't stop that, but check out this comparison. A bad lifestyle, terrible diet, no sleep, tons of stress. It's like hitting the fast forward button on that decline, and you feel it. Less energy, harder to keep muscle, your mood takes a hit. The point is, you are in the driver's seat when it comes to how fast this happens. This all ties into a big concept called metabolic health. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Think of it as your body's engine. How well does it process the fuel you put in it? If your metabolic health is good, your engine runs smoothly. If it's poor, it starts to sputter, and that leads directly to huge problems like diabetes and heart disease. And one of the best dashboard warning lights for this? Your waistline. So let's make this super simple. Here's a number to remember. A key goal for men is to keep your waist size under 102 centimeters or 40 inches. And let's be clear, this has nothing to do with looking good at the beach. This is a critical health metric. It's like an early warning system on your body's dashboard, telling you if there might be trouble brewing under the hood. And that brings us to part 3, mastering the long game. Once you're past 50, the strategy changes. It's less about building and more about protecting. The name of the game is proactive, preventative care to make sure you're not just living longer, but living well. So think about how the game plan for cancer screenings evolves. We started back in the early years with those monthly self-checks, right? Well, as you hit 50 and beyond, the focus pivots. Now, the big priorities become regular screenings for prostate and colon cancer, two of the heavy hitters for older guys. And this is why it is so incredibly important. Look at the difference here. Catching something early versus catching it late, it's not just a small difference. It is the difference between a high chance of survival and a very low one. It's night and day. Finding it early gives you options. It gives you a fighting chance. I mean, what more is there to say? It's as simple as that. Screenings save lives. Period. Waiting until you have symptoms is like waiting until you see smoke to buy a fire extinguisher. It's a massive gamble, and the stakes are just too high. Okay, so we've gone through the whole journey, from the foundational years all the way to the long game. Let's boil it all down. What are the key power moves you need to remember for life? This stuff you can start doing today. It comes down to these 4 things. Your power moves. Number 1, talk openly. Stop bottling it up. Mental health is health. Number 2, move daily. Remember, consistency beats intensity every single time. Number 3, know your numbers. Your blood pressure, cholesterol, waist size, you can't manage what you don't measure. And finally, number 4, screen early. Be proactive. Don't wait for a problem. Look, at the end of the day, your health isn't some finish line you cross. It's a journey. It's the sum of all the little choices you make every single day. We've given you the roadmap. You have the power moves. So really, there's only one question left to ask yourself. What's your next move?